Hello and welcome to Friday Night Live Hypnosis. I am your hypnotist. I'm hypnotist Jim Kellner, and I want to introduce you to hypnosis, or reintroduce you, or just help you to continue your addiction to this wonderful tool that's available to all of us. And if you're watching right now, please chat down below. Let me know if you can hear me. One of the bad things about this, I can't necessarily check the sound. I've got a little bar thing over here, but hey, there's Natasha. I can see it, but I don't know if it's right or not. Anyway, I want to get right into this. I was doing a show a couple of weeks ago, and I had someone come up. Thanks, Natasha. I had someone come up to get hypnotized. And afterwards we were chatting. He didn't go into hypnosis. And so I dismissed him after, 10, 15 minutes. Wanted to give him a chance, see if he'd get there. We were talking afterwards, and he said, he just couldn't make it happen. Greg says he can hear, but he can't see me. I'm not sure how to fix that. That might be a LinkedIn thing. I don't know. Weird. Okay, you can see me now. Excellent. So I'm doing this show, and welcome, Greg. I haven't seen you in a long time, man. I hope you're doing great. I love the Greg is a comedian. He's a speaker. We go way back. We've worked together, and he also has a company called Work Happy, which I think is just awesome. Work Happy. What a great title, Greg. Thanks for joining us. So I did the show. Afterwards, we're talking. He goes, "Yeah, I couldn't quite get there." And I just kind of asked him. I said, "Well, and I could kind of tell. You can kind of tell when you're talking to people sometimes their personality type." And I said, "Do you find that you're maybe a little bit more analytical than most people?" And he goes, "Oh yeah, I'm very analytical." And I go, "Well, you see, that's probably the problem." Thank you, Kendall, for joining us. So, what I always tell people is, damn near everyone can be hypnotized. Okay, I know you don't believe it. If you've never been hypnotized before, you think, "Oh, I can't be hypnotized." Everybody thinks that at first. Hardly anybody is like, "Oh yeah, I know I'd be able to get hypnotized." But there's a lot of different things that can get in the way, and I kind of break it down into two sets of people. We have people that are really analytical and people that are really non-analytical, and most of us fall somewhere in between. But what I've found, and what we find, most of us find in hypnosis, that if you're one of the more analytical people, it can be a little bit more challenging for you to go into hypnosis, especially the hypnosis that's mostly available to you. Let me explain that. There's a lot of hypnosis out on YouTube. I've got a bunch of videos. A lot of people have them. You can find them on apps. My friend Victoria Gallagher, my colleague, she has the HypnoCloud app. There's like 500 recordings on there. I've got an app coming out soon. I also sell MP3s, and you may be familiar with. Many of you have probably heard of Steve G. Jones. Almost everybody owns one of his MP3s. So those are all what we call general hypnosis. And what I mean by that is we're not able to be very specific. Hey, Sean, sorry, I'm making this more complicated than it needs to be, I think. But for the analytical people, they probably appreciate this. And this is what I found. If you're a hypnotist, your analytical clients, they appreciate you taking the time to explain it. The other people are like, "Hey, just get started." So, and this is really for the analyticals. So if you're going, "Hey, just get started," this probably isn't a good one for you. Go listen to a different one. We're going to get started, though, really in about 5 minutes at the most. When I'm working with you in person, I get to figure out what kind of personality type you are, right? I'm going to know right away. Are you analytical? Are you? And there's cues. And if I can't figure it out, I'll just ask you. You find yourself more analytical? What kind of work do you do? You an accountant, an engineer? So that's good for the hypnotists that are watching too, because I do some trainings for hypnotists, and it's really good for you all to know that. If somebody's really analytical, that I'm going to note that, and I'm going to customize my induction. That's the first thing that's going to make a hypnotherapy session, one-on-one session, more effective. Because I've worked with a lot of analytical clients, and they do just fine. It just takes a little bit extra work. That's all for both of us. The other thing that I'm going to do when we sit down and talk is I'm going to find out what your specific goals are. I'm going to find out, what you really want to get out of the session. Let me give you a good example. If I do a generalized weight loss recording, for instance, I'm probably going to talk about, um, eating healthy foods and avoiding unhealthy foods and exercising. But maybe when you come to me, you're like, no, I really, my only problem is I eat too many potato chips. So when we work one-on-one, I zero in on that and I can help you a lot quicker. So the YouTube, the MP3, the generalized hypnosis will generally work. It's just going to take longer. And then for some people, it just doesn't seem to click for them because it's just too general. It's not specific enough. The two things that I have found that I think that especially are okay for YouTube and MP3 hypnosis is sleep and relaxation. I think those kind of recordings can help just about anyone to some degree. If you listen to two or three different sleep ones or relaxation ones, you'll probably find something that's going to work well for you. But when we talk, for instance, we talk about weight loss. I mean, there's a whole lot involved. Are you 5 or 10 pounds overweight, or are you 100 pounds overweight? And is it because of childhood trauma? Is it because of you're just you just kind of let the pounds creep on over time, that sort of thing. So this is all gonna play into it on how much more difficult it is to help you with just a generalized hypnosis session. That being said, I have had people that have they've emailed me, they've messaged me, and I know Victoria gets these kind of messages all the time too. Wow, your app changed my life. Your recording changed my life. It really did click. So not saying they're not effective. You're always going to get better results, of course, when you go see somebody in person, which really, thank goodness, because I'd be out of work, right? Because there's a ton of hypnosis. There's a ton of hypnosis recordings out there and MP3s. I mean, Steve G. Jones probably got 10,000 recordings. So if those worked perfectly, I'd have to get a job working. Maybe Greg could hire me over there at Work Happy or something. So that's where we're at with that. One of the things that you're going to find now, when we're working with analytical clients, things are just even more difficult because I'll tell you, and I'm guilty of this too, most hypnotists, especially when they're starting out, they use what's called a progressive relaxation, induction. Induction is that first part where they're kind of going, that's right, and you're going deeper. Maybe you're walking on a beach, or maybe you're walking through a forest or something like that. Because look, it's pleasant, it's nice, and if we talk in person, I'm going to find out what kind of relaxing environment you like, which makes a big difference too. Because I'll tell you, I listen to some of these progressive relaxation and they take you down to the beach and they go, and you walk out into the ocean. And I'm like, no, I don't. I never walk out in the ocean because I know what's in the ocean and I'm not going in the ocean. So that pops me right out. I'm like, no, I do not go in the ocean. So if we work in person and you tell me you like the beach, I'll say, hey, do you want to go in the water or not? But so that's a progressive progressive relaxation. There's a variety of them. It might be, there's waves of relaxation going from the top of your head all the way to the bottoms of your feet, which is my favorite one. This is the one I like to use, kind of my signature one that I use. But for analytical people, it can drive them nuts. Also, people with ADHD. People with ADHD and analytical people, it can drive them insane. They're just like, please get started. Tell me to quit smoking. Tell me to lose weight. Whatever. Stop telling me to relax. I've had this comment from clients before when I was working in the clinic. I remember this one lady specifically. I asked her before the session, hey, what worked for you last time? What didn't work for you last time? She goes, don't tell me to relax. I'm already relaxed. And I'm looking at her going, you're not relaxed, but but you can't argue with your client. So here's another thing where, like, if you're saying, also they tell me, oh, you need to shorten that induction. That first part, I don't need it. Just cut that down to like 30 seconds. Whenever somebody tells me that, I know they actually need a longer induction. Now, I will do it for them. I remember a client specifically, she said, I only need, just kind of skip over that part. I just need the other stuff. She came back in a month. She goes, no, you were right. I did need that other stuff. So it's kind of like, those things that we kind of resist are oftentimes the things that we really, really need. So again, if you're analytical, this is, and for hypnotists out there, because I'm analytical too. And so was difficult for me. I had to train myself to be able to go into hypnosis. So they're also sitting there, they're kind of analyzing everything. They don't know they're not supposed to do that. Or, I mean, it's not really they're not supposed to. They they can't help it. And when you have a client that's non-analytical, I mean, I'll just start talking. I'll just go, oh, that's right. Take a few deep breaths, and they're they're doing this. They're already there. For an analytical person, they're going, well, how deep of a breath? How long do I have to hold that breath? They might be thinking, if I say go to a beach, they're like, well, is that a white sand beach or a black sand beach? They're questioning all these things. So you kind of drive them nuts when you do these progressive relaxations. Same with people with ADHD. Their mind is all over the place. So what we want to do when we're working with analyticals is we want to give them something to do. So we want to give them now, and it can be as simple as giving them math problems. You can say, that's right. And you're counting down from 500 in multiples of 7, multiples of 3. That'll keep their mind active. I actually had one client where I would have, didn't keep her going. So I do that. And then she'd do the alphabet backwards. I just say, imagine if you could do the alphabet backwards on the other side of your mind. And she would do them both at the same time. Crazy. I can't do all that much stuff going on myself. But yeah, also when you're working with analytical clients, they're the ones that are going to be a little bit more interested in the science. You can kind of go into that. One of the big things with analytical clients, one of the things, you're not going to come to us for the most part. Analytical people, they don't come to us as often because they think it's all BS and they don't want to be made to look like a fool. But when you get a really savvy one, or one that's just desperate, that's like, I'll try anything, they're a really good client. And I found this out, one of my best clients was very analytical. She was an accountant, very analytical. 3 days late after our first session, she wrote me a message and she said, Jim, you are on my top 3. You're one of the 3 things that I'm grateful for every day now, because her changes had happened that quickly because I customized the induction for her. So they can be good clients, but they often just won't come to us. They won't sign on because they think it's BS. Which is crazy because they're typically the people that will look more into the science. And as we know, this has been researched. There's plenty of evidence that hypnosis is legit. But then again, like I talked about a few weeks ago, unfortunately, or fortunately, from my point of view, unfortunately, we have a lot of people that also are into astrology and crystals and this kind of thing that are in this field. And then, and I have nothing against those, but they're not really necessarily, they don't have the scientific support behind them. And so someone who's analytical is kind of like, oh, that must be BS if you need crystals to hypnotize me. And I'm like, I don't need crystals to hypnotize you. I can hypnotize you without crystals or astrology or anything like that. I'm using a scientific process. All right, I'm going to take a second look what Natasha wrote here. The staircase induction. Yeah, that kind of triggered an anxiety attack. And that's a really good point. You're much more likely to have an abreaction if you're using a non-generalized hypnosis recording, which like from a MP3 or a YouTube or something, just because I can show that actually, yeah. Just because we're not specific, we haven't asked you any of the questions because we don't know you at all, and then also when you have the abreaction, when you have that anxiety attack, we can't talk you through it. If if we're here in person, then we can definitely kind of talk through it. Natasha says, you're so right with what you're saying. I have ADHD and I'm so analytical with everything. I went from believing hypnosis was complete rubbish to my life and work revolving around it. And I remember, there's a what we call it's the Dave Ellman, or it's just the eye lock, but for the Dave Ellman induction, there's an eye lock, and I had a hardest time when I first started doing hypnosis, and I would hear that one. I couldn't get my eyes to stick. So I'm like, do you really want me to open them? Do you not want me to open them? And it was really tough. And so Natasha goes on to say it happened because she was halfway down the staircase and still couldn't decide what color it was, right? Exactly. And the audio had already moved on to the next stage. And you know what, Natasha, thank you. This is a classic example of what happens for an analytical person when we do these kind of inductions. It's all these questions. And so again, what we want to do is we want to give them something to do. Give them, just give them something to do. and don't make it something like that where there's a lot of guesswork involved. So I'm going to use what I'm going to use today is called. I'm going to do a couple of things. So the ones you can do that I've had really good luck for the hypnotists that are watching, I've had really good luck with both analyticals and ADHD folks with doing an overload induction, and that's something Terrence, what's his name? Terrence McKenna, I believe. There's Paul McKenna, and then Terrence McKenna is the one that had the 7 plus or minus 2 induction. Great induction. And the great thing too about an analytical induction, an induction that's aimed at analytical people, is it'll work for non-analyticals also. It's just not as pleasant. It's not as relaxing, that part of it, because you're not going on a beach or, having this, healing energy flowing through you or something. So that's the only downside. Yeah, the eye lock makes Kendall's eyes roll back. You're probably a somnambulist. Always have trouble saying it. And let's see, clear instructions so I don't overthink. Yeah, right. You're still going to overthink, aren't you? I need to not have so many options available. Exactly, and that's really what it is. And so the less options we give them, the better. And so it's going to work a lot better for them. And I'm actually going to teach a class on that, I think at Heartland next year, working with analytical clients, because I still just see, I run across hypnotists all the time that don't even know that progressive relaxation doesn't work for everybody. And so I think it's important. And that's the default. I swear, I don't know if they're not being taught that in school or if they're just not paying attention on that day. Honestly, I don't remember when I learned that. I don't know. Anyway. So what I do in my recordings, I do a double kind of a thing. I do one where it's progressive relaxation, and I don't know what you'd call it, but it's a writing on a chalkboard. So it keeps their mind busy. So that's really the ones we want to do. So for ADHD or analytical people, we want to do. Wow. Just found money in my pocket. That's weird, because I was actually listening to. That's so okay. I got to say this. I was listening to a hypnosis recording earlier about abundance and finding money, and then I just found this money in my pocket. Weird, because it said to be on the lookout for that. Okay, I'm getting rich by the second. So what we want to do is we want to use like an overload, and that's going to be like a Terrence McKenna. I believe that's his name. 7 plus or minus 1. You can find it if you Google it. It's on, somebody has it on Reddit, I think is where I found it before, or look in my hypnosis group, Launch Your Hypnosis Career Now on Facebook. You can also do the counting down method, counting down from 500, especially if you do multiples of 7 or 3, or rapid inductions will oftentimes work with a little bit of coaching ahead of time, because they don't need to know what's going to happen, because it needs to be like a shock induction oftentimes. But let them know to just kind of be open to the experience. Otherwise, they might be really resistant to it. So anyway, I want to get on with this. I actually didn't even mean for this to turn into a big teaching thing or discussion about it. We can talk more about this. I do want to remind everybody that if you're watching now and you want to come over and talk about hypnosis or other cool stuff, I have my group, Exploring Awesome. I would love for you to come join me over there. My Exploring Awesome group. I didn't put the link to it. I just put the link into it, but it went away. Anyway, go to Facebook and find Exploring Awesome. I'm also doing right after this, I'll be on Clubhouse. Go to Clubhouse. The caption is no, here it is. Exploring Awesome right here. That's a Facebook group. And then if you want to join us over on Clubhouse, it's Jim Kellner, hypnotist.com/clubhouse. There will always be a replay. I will, wherever you saw this at, you'll always be able to find it again. And we are recording this on June 3rd, 2020. So if you're not listening on June 3rd, come back on another Friday. I'm trying to head over there every week, every Friday at 7:45. We'll talk about cool stuff, hair care tips, and and all that good stuff. So, hey, without further ado, let's begin the hypnosis. First of all, you need to know, don't listen to this hypnosis while you're driving or moving around. From this point on, I won't be interacting with you while you chat, but I'll try to catch up with you afterwards, after the session. Happy birthday, Natasha. It's her birthday. It's the fourth verse. She's in jolly old England. So please don't listen to this while you're driving or moving around, because you really could zone out completely and bad things could happen. I'd like you to just, especially if you're an analytical person, I'd like you to just think about the possibility that this can work for you. And if you don't get the experience that you're hoping for today, I invite you to come back and listen 2 or 3 more times before you make your final decision that it's not going to work for you. Because what we find in hypnosis is that the more often you listen, the better you get at it. It's like anything else. The more often you listen, the more effective it'll be for you. So if you would, just take a few nice relaxing breaths. And I want you to just kind of think about just shaking the body out a bit. Just shake it out. Let go of any tension there. Please either lie down or sit up straight in a chair. Maybe lean back if you're in a recliner or something, or on a couch. Put your hands in your lap and your feet flat on the floor. You don't have to do these things. These are just things to help you to go into hypnosis. You can keep your eyes open just as long as you'd like. In fact, you might find that you're just going to take a few deep breaths and just for your sake, just think to yourself, I want to be hypnotized. I want to be hypnotized. I want to be hypnotized. And just know that nothing is going to happen that you don't want to have happen. So you're in control at all times, physically, mentally, and emotionally. So you truly are free to and capable of creating whatever experience you want to experience. And right now, I'd like to invite you to just imagine for a moment. And if you have difficulty imagining what I talk about today, you can just pretend, because it works the same. And your imagination will actually get better the more often that you use it. But do your best to just imagine there's one of those big whiteboards out in front of you. Take another nice deep breath in, and then if you're comfortable, just close your eyes now. And in your mind's eye, you can see that big whiteboard. The kind of whiteboard you might find in a classroom, and the details don't matter because it's just a whiteboard. And right there on the tray in front of the whiteboard, you find one of those erasable pens, those big, fat erasable pens. And I'd like you to find the color that you find most relaxing. And maybe that's blue or pink or gold or black, whatever color you find most relaxing. I'd like you to choose that color if you will. Remembering that you could resist if you wanted to, but that's not why you're listening today. You're listening because you've made the choice to go into hypnosis. And so as you take that big marker, I'd like you to just imagine now that you're drawing a great big circle, as big as you can. And then you draw the letter A within the circle. And then you erase it. And then you draw the letter B. And you erase it. Going all the way through the alphabet. All the way from A to Z. And then you could even come back Z to A. A to Z and Z to A. And you could go backwards and forwards just as many times as you'd like. Good, that's right. And even as you continue doing that, you may find that there's another part of your mind that is beginning to count down from 500 in multiples of 3, 497, 494, going all the way to 1. And perhaps you'll remember to forget to stop counting, or perhaps you'll forget to remember to continue doing the alphabet on the whiteboard. But it doesn't matter, because you're in control. In fact, right now, you could make the choice to allow all outside sounds and distractions to simply fade into the distance as you focus solely on the sound of my voice. Should there ever be an emergency, you could handle it and come right back to your normal state and handle it, and then we'll come back to the hypnosis if you'd like. But otherwise, you can simply focus on the sound of my voice, allowing yourself to continue to go deeper with every breath that you take. And I don't know what hypnosis feels like to you. Perhaps that other part of your mind has remembered to forget to even pay attention to the words that I'm saying, because you know these words are intended for that other part of your mind. So as you continue counting down and doing the alphabet, you can just relax, knowing that everything that you want to have happen is happening, and nothing that you don't want to have happening is going to happen, because today is the day that you're taking a break for yourself. Just allowing yourself this few minutes to detach from any outside thoughts, cares, or concerns. Good, that's right. Just disconnecting from the world for a moment so that you can relax, rejuvenate, and then be able to continue on with your day feeling better than ever. More focus. You're always remembering to never listen to hypnosis while driving or moving around, as it's best experienced while sitting or lying down in a quiet place where you won't be disturbed. You're free to listen to this recording once, twice, 3 times a day, whatever's most helpful for you. And I wonder what it might be like as you continue doing the alphabet and perhaps even counting down. I wonder what it might be like if you could actually experience the sensation, the feeling, the idea that there were gentle waves of relaxation flowing through your entire body. I wonder what it might be like if you just allowed yourself to let those gentle waves of relaxation move through the scalp, down through the facial muscles, perhaps even noticing now that those jaw muscles are relaxing. The teeth may even part a bit. Good, that's right. You're doing perfectly. Just letting go completely. Good, that's right. That's right. And then watch as those gentle waves of relaxation move down into the neck and shoulders, dissolving any tension that might be there. Perhaps you're reminded of a time or place when you were watching, listening to some gentle waves on a lake, a pond, or maybe even the ocean. gentle waves guiding you deeper and further into hypnosis, further into relaxation. Good, that's right. It feels so good to relax. It feels so good to just let go. That's right. You are doing perfectly. Listening now as those gentle waves of relaxation move down through the arms to the fingertips. Perhaps you could even begin to feel them moving through the torso, the hips, the legs, and all the way down to the bottoms of your feet. Maybe you begin to feel as if you're wrapped up in a warm and comfortable blanket of total relaxation. And perhaps you could make the decision to allow this time, this space, that feeling to become a safe space, a safe place for you. Maybe even imagining that you're in a sort of a bubble, a relaxation bubble, which can't be disturbed, and you could take that bubble anywhere at all. So that even when you're moving through your normal day-to-day activities, those normal stressors, those day-to-day troubles, they simply fade away. Good, that's right. Perhaps you're finding now that every breath that you take is guiding you a little bit further into relaxation. And during this process, you may begin to notice certain sensations. You may feel a heaviness or even a lightness as you experience deeper and deeper levels of relaxation. You might even feel a numbness or tingling, all signs that you are relaxing so deeply. Good. And if you should ever have any trouble, any difficulty during hypnosis, you could come right back to this safe space, this safe place that you've created. You could take a few deep breaths and emerge on your own feeling better than ever. Totally comfortable, totally relaxed, totally in control. And things can happen outside of awareness. And I wonder if you're starting to discover now in the coming days, weeks, months, and years that the more difficult the situation you're facing, the more challenging the person you're dealing with, the more relaxed you become. You've discovered that you handle every situation, every person more effectively, more efficiently, the more relaxed you are. So it becomes easier to just let go of those things that might have caused you trouble in the past. You're now freeing up vast amounts of energy to focus on those things that are important to you. And I wonder what kinds of things are important to you. I know there's something there that you've been wanting to change or maybe let go of. Perhaps there's a new habit you'd like to take on. Maybe you'd like to feel more confident. Maybe you'd like to truly love yourself. Maybe you'd like to let go of some grief or unhappiness. Today is your opportunity to do that. I don't know what you want or what you need, but you do. And I want you now to just imagine that you knew how to achieve that thing, that goal. Imagine you could wave a magic wand and suddenly this issue would be solved, fixed. Perhaps now you become aware of what exactly would need to happen for you to finally achieve that goal, to take in that new habit, let go of the old habit. Perhaps you'd like to make more money or feel more love. Everything that you need is within you right now. And even as you continue to relax deeper and deeper, I'd like to invite you to just travel forward in time now. That's right, travel forward in time to the day that you've achieved that goal, that you've been successful. Traveling forward in time. Good. That's right. Just imagine going forward to that day. One week from now, 1 month from now, perhaps it's even 6 months or a year from now, but traveling forward in time to that day, that time when you have achieved that goal, taken on that habit or let go of the old habit. You've started to make more money or found more love in your life, found more love for yourself. Go to that day now and notice how you look and notice how you feel. Notice the clothes that you're wearing and the way that you move your body. Imagine walking around, knowing that you've achieved that goal, and then hearing friends and family around you telling you how proud they are of the work that you've done, which didn't even seem like work at all, as you simply decided once and for all. Good. And perhaps you can hear that little voice in your head telling you what a good job you've done. And now imagine that you could gather up all of the skills, beliefs, behaviors, attitudes of that future you and bring it all back to the here and now, so that right here, right now, you have everything you need to be completely successful. Feels good, doesn't it? Hold all of that in. Feel it. Feel the power. Feel how good it feels to be able to achieve what you want to achieve, to do what you want to do. And then take a scan back through this entire session, becoming aware of everything that you learned. Become aware of everything that was helpful and bring it forward in time. To the right here, right now, keep it close to you. Anything that didn't seem quite right, just leave it behind. And if there was anything at all that was missing, anything that you needed to be successful, imagine that you could make it so. Make it so that you hear, see, or feel whatever it is that you need to be absolutely 100% successful, so that this session is the most successful it could possibly be. Good, that's right. Lock it all in physically, mentally, emotionally. Allow the suggestions to ring true for you and watch how these changes are becoming manifested in your life. Because in a moment, it's going to be time to return to your previous state. Now, if this is a time for sleep or relaxation, I invite you to just continue sleeping or relaxing, only awakening when it's appropriate to do so, and just ignoring any suggestions to wake. And if it's a time to be wide awake and alert, then on the count of 5, you can open your eyes feeling rested, refreshed, revitalized, feeling really, really good. So now, as I say 1, you start to come back feeling more confident in your ability to achieve all of your goals, all of your wishes. 2, coming back feeling more motivated, more determined than ever to live your absolute best life. 3, perhaps wiggling your fingers and toes a bit now as you're coming out of the hypnosis. 4, stretching and moving the body. Feels so good to move the body. And then 5, whenever you're ready, just coming all the way back to your normal state, feeling rested, refreshed, revitalized, ready to continue on with your day or just go into a deep, relaxing sleep, feeling really, really good. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you, Heather, for saying that. Please, I invite you to let me know what your experience is like down in the comments. Whether you're listening live or later, I do come back and I watch these. I get notifications. I love to come back and hear what you have to say. Hey, even if you didn't have a great experience, I'd love to know that too, because that just helps me to do better work in the future. So again, I do appreciate you taking the time to join me. And I saw a few new faces. Really appreciate that. And the old faces, well, not old faces, previous faces. Appreciate you joining us. If you'd like to join me over on Clubhouse, please do that. The name is up to the web link is up there. That web link will take you right to the Clubhouse app and my room, my club. It's Exploring Awesome. That's what I do. I explore awesome. So we're going to go over there. We're going to chat about hypnosis. We're going to chat about personal development, whatever. And you can also just download the Clubhouse app and search for Exploring Awesome. All right. Take care. Be well. Be awesome. Thank you for putting the link, Natasha.